Well, my name's Cole. I'm the group head of Historia Normanis in Salford, and Historia Normanis is a reenactment society that aims to recreate life and death in the 12th century of England. The society exists across the whole of the UK. We've got groups scattered amongst the whole of the UK. It began over 15 years ago at this point. There were different groups of historical reenactors doing vaguely similar time periods, and the people who got to know each other from those events coalesced into one bigger society. So it all merged. They codified a set of rules, a set of safety regulations, and what time period they wanted to do. And that's how we started with a quite wide net to begin with, and I've just grown from there. It's incredible to see all these people at all these events. There's people in this group that we spend time with twice a week or more, making stuff, training, and then the camaraderie that you find at the events, and especially when you stand shoulder to shoulder with someone you recognise on the battlefield, you recognise them again and again, you make lifelong friends just by being there. I joined out of peer pressure, actually. I had a friend about 8 years ago who was already doing this and still does. I've got a background in martial arts. I've been doing various martial arts since about 7 years old, and I've always been a history enthusiast as well, but I didn't know this existed. So when I made that friend, they turned to me and said, "Why aren't you doing this?" And then I got into it from there. It interests me because there's a lot going on. There's been some slightly new developments in weapons and armour compared to, say, pre-1066 or the Viking Age. I find it really interesting that in England at this particular time period, there's a lot of reasons why people are warring against each other. There's barons and lords and other members of nobility fighting over land. There are civil wars between kings and queens. There's wars between England and France, and there's some really interesting stories to tell, rather than just memorising dates and results. Like, the stories of why this happened and what happened is just really interesting to me. So at least twice a week. So Tuesdays, as we are here, we host our crafting sessions. That's where we make all the equipment that we wear and use. We repair things, we make new things, we upgrade what we've got. And then on Sundays we have our training sessions, which are outdoor in the park. All as much as you want to put into it. There's some people that come every week and train on a Sunday, and they use our spare borrowed equipment, and that's completely free, and they'll do that for as long as they want. Eventually, if people are hooked and they want to do more, especially if they want to come to our events, then you need to start looking into getting some of this equipment for yourself. But none of that is pressured, none of that's forced. It is just, if you think I am into this, then we'll help you get into it.
My name's AJ. I look after the Manchester group of Historia Normanis. So I look after the administration and running of a lot of the activities that we do specifically in Manchester, and I report back to the regional team up in Lancashire, because we're one of many groups in Lancashire across the country, and within that we reenact, we fight with swords and spears and put on a good show. We do crafts and stuff throughout the week so that we can try and look historically authentic and learn a little bit about the history, so that when we go to shows in the summer, we can put on a good display for the public, we can look fancy as anything, we can teach them about history and have fun doing it. The stuff I'm wearing is stuff we've made in-house. It's all one collective thing that's great fun to be involved in. Well, personally, the reason I joined the group is because, I was at university, and in my first year, obviously they have a freshers' fair. And then two women came up to me and said, "Hi, do you want to hold a sword?" And I really didn't need any more persuading than that. But I suppose the reason I stick around is because it's great fun to be involved in the physical activity. I have a love of history, and all the folks I'm with are just fantastic people. Delightful community. I would call this my hobby. It's because it's one of the major things I do throughout a week. It's one of, I would hesitate to call it my only hobby. You have to be a real dedication to say, this is the one thing I want to do. But it is one of the major parts of my week. It's something that I get involved with regularly to improve, to stay fit, to hang out with people that I just now consider, even outside of this, my mates.
Before this, I was extremely antisocial, and this really helped me find friends because it helps you find people who are like you in a lot of ways. I'm neurodiverse. I have autism and also ADHD, and this place has a lot of other people who have autism, ADHD, all sorts of different things. They can relate to you, and you can form really close connections. And when you're fighting, you almost form more connection when fighting.
I'd definitely say it's helped me form friendships, absolutely. And it's kind of a case that like attracts like. If you make a welcoming environment for nerds like us that have a love of history, that have a love of swinging swords, that have a love of crafting things, you're going to attract people of the same ilk. And even if you're only interested in one of those things, it drives you into the other. I kind of joined initially, bought on the fighting, but I love getting involved in like the historical music and the acting as well. So there's so much more to it than that.
My name is Clement. I am a Normanis member, third year coming. I joined the group during one Freshers' Fair in university. Basically, a man in full mail came up to me and I was like, "What are you doing here?" And he was like, "Well, we have this stall over on that aisle." And I went there, got hold of the sword, and got told there were training sessions. And so the rest is history. I would call this my hobby because I get to know lots of interesting people, I get to learn a lot of things, and basically all of this was new to me previously, and so definitely this is an experience I'm fully getting into. So Normanis definitely has formed a lot of friendships for me. So beforehand, I didn't really know anyone in this country because I'm an international student. And so after joining this society, I got to hang out with a lot of people, got to do a lot of things with them, even outside of Normanis related activities. And so that has definitely broadened my sort of interpersonal relationship in my university years. I think I like the people most in this group because regardless, I do talk with them a lot. I do spend a lot of time with them, whether that be in training sessions, craft sessions, or shows that we go to, and even in like late night sort of campfire moments that we share. It's always that sort of camaraderie that's there, and that's sort of like everyone looking out for you, and that's what I appreciate the most.
I got into it initially for the combat part, and when I was brand new I thought I'd just turn up to train every now and then, give it a go, and then as I got more into it I thought, yeah, I would like to fight at one of these events, and then you need to be able to wear the things to fight at these events, so I had to learn how to sew. So once I'd learned how to sew and I'd got the equipment, I thought actually I'm into this enough that I'd like to wear some armour, so I had to learn how to make the armour. And this is all stuff that I decided that I wanted to do at my own pace. So the combative stuff led to other stuff, and it's just really broadened things that I can do. So when people are brand new, they'll use borrowed weapons, and they'll be made of wood only just for safety until they can build up the strength and the dexterity required to do it. Our fights are not scripted, so we generally don't know who's going to win, and we are all trying to win. But we have a sort of hit point system where, as I am now, unarmoured, I could reasonably get hit twice before I have to admit that I've been defeated, unless it's a good enough hit right through the middle, and it's an insta-kill. Whereas someone like Connor here is wearing all his armour could reasonably get hit more times than that, maybe up to 5 times, unless he's run straight through the middle. So someone who's got more experience and more armour is more likely to last longer in a fight, but any random peasant could still go in with a spear, and it kind of evens the odd. So there is a safety system where we don't hit the lower limbs and in the face and the groin, and then later, when someone's been through more training and they opt in for extra stuff and they're wearing armour and in particular a helmet, they can choose to do a more full contact style where there are less restrictions, but the safety standards have got to be super, super high. But in that full contact system, you can get hit in the head, for example, and if Connor turns his head this way, you can see the helmet has saved me a few times along the way. So people work on their own equipment, and there's people like me and other people with experience who've made it before who will pass on those skills. So when I didn't know what I was doing, there was someone else in charge who taught me how to do it. Now that I'm in charge, I'm passing on those skills as well. So people's first kit basically is going to be something to wear, whether that's a dress or a tunic, for example, and we'll get the wool so they know what materials to use. We'll show them how the patterns work and help them take all the measurements. We'll show them how to stitch it, but the key thing is that we want them learning how to do it for themselves, because the satisfaction of being able to then wear it when you know you've made it is what it's really all about. Before this, I was probably the kind of person who, if I got a hole in some clothing, I might just replace it, whereas now I'm much more likely to repair it. And there's things that I've made for myself at home, tables and chairs that I use in my little workshop that I've got in my back garden under my shed, and even things like painting skills. I know these are just straight lines, but I wasn't necessarily very good at painting before I started doing this, but now I can do more because you can apply the skills that you've learned even in a historical context to stuff that you just want to do and make in everyday life. So we are all volunteers. We do this as a hobby. We make the kit because we like it and because we want to. The society as a whole will get booked by either local councils or historical societies like English Heritage, for example, and they will then book us, they'll pay us, and the money that the society makes sort of filters back down to help us do what we do. It goes towards our insurances, it goes towards group bulk orders of stock and things like that. So nothing that we do is necessarily for profit, it's all for fun and it's for educational reasons. I mean, because it's cool for a start, and I say that as someone who's a massive nerd, and it's about as cool as you can feel for someone who's a massive nerd. We're not only recreating history, so you're learning a lot, and if you like history, that's great for you, but you get to go out in the field and have a big good fun run around, and you get to wear stuff like this. I've learned a lot of new skills by doing this hobby. You might be able to see some of the items behind me, the clothing, that's all handmade. I couldn't stitch a thing before I started doing this. I had no idea how to make chainmail, I've done no woodworking whatsoever. So I'd say for people that want to get into this sort of thing, it's going to teach you skills that you can use in everyday life, not just in historical life, and it's going to make you a lot of new friends as well. I think it's much better to live as we are now, with all the luxuries that we've got, and have the luxury to play at seeing what life was like. Because for a lot of people back then, if you were rich, if you were a member of nobility, life might be pretty good for you, but you've got nowhere near the level of luxuries that we've got now. Like the stuff that's just in your everyday spice cupboard make you one of the richest people alive back then. And if you weren't lucky to be part of the less than 1% that live like that, then life's pretty hard. It's a lot of manual labour, it's a lot of restrictions on what you can and can't do in society. So I'd say now we have way more freedom personally than we did back then. So it's really interesting to look back through that lens, but I think if it was the other way, they would probably choose to stay here as well.
I think I would much rather like to live in the modern era. There's no guarantee that I would be alive in the medieval period. I'd probably be conscripted and sent off to a battlefield, or I'd just be like farming my days out. I would much rather be comfortably here with my sort of like friends, sort of reenacting the best bits of the medieval era.
I would absolutely prefer to live in the modern era. I studied history. I've got a master's degree in history. One of the things I studied as part of that was kind of the 12th century. And it's fun to reenact history. It is fun to get involved, to swing swords, to have a bit of fun in the fancy of it, and to try and teach people about history. But as part of the doing this, I am under no illusion that the modern period is definitely better to live in. It's a better place to be. For example, just medicine, technology, gay rights, things like that, all things that I would absolutely want to, that we've made progress and I wouldn't want to give that up.
Just get in touch. There's no formality to it. There's a Normanis group in most large towns and cities across the UK. Quite a lot of them are affiliated with universities as well, so there's the main group that's close to university. We have a website, it's historianormanis.co.uk. Every group's got its own Instagram page. If you contact one, they will find out where your nearest group is, and it's just a case of rocking up and asking to give it a try. We've got spare equipment for people who want to get started. We've got basic things people can practice making stuff on. And then if you decide it's for you, we'll start showing you when, where, and how to get the things that you need.